What's going on, everyone? Welcome to cartoon season. Something here. All about cartoons, anime, movies, TV shows, all that good stuff. As long as it's animated, we're good here. My name is Tyler, as always. Not changing it. And today obviously is going to be about Wish Dragon movie. I think this is the first movie I've done. Yes, first movie. And great movie. A little bit overlooked, I think. I think this was released on Netflix, but this is also around the time of the past year and a half or so with no movies in theaters, so I guess that could be a reason why. I'd be interested to see what would have happened if this was in theaters. If this was a Sony movie, almost positive there, but it is very good. Very, very good movie. It caught me off guard, especially towards the last like third, the third act, I guess. Caught me off guard with how emotional it was gonna be, but I forget how to do an intro. I'm gonna talk about some good stuff. Gonna talk about the Din and Lena relationship that also kind of caught me off guard with how they handled it, because like it started off as friends, and then like most of the movie was like more than friends, and then we ended and it was kind of ambiguous, I feel like, but we'll get into that. And then also I want to talk about Long's his character growth, right? I think that was a really nice B plot to have in this whole thing. And then before I get into it, make sure to go to the Tiger T YouTube. That's where you can find more episodes, or if you're more of an audio only kind of person, pretty much any podcast platform you can find this on. Some that I'm not too familiar with, but they're there anyway for you. And so general thoughts on Wish Dragon. Again, I thought it was really good, caught me off guard. I like the whole aesthetic. The coloring in this movie is really good, especially just like the screenshot. If you're on YouTube, you can see a little image here of Long and Din during their first encounter, I think. Yeah, because he still has like the ripped up suit on. That was really good. And it's just all around good animation, good story. Nothing too crazy, but still really good. And then we get into the first thing, like I said, the Din and the Lena relationship. This was obviously set up by, them being friends as kids, and then Lena went away. I don't know if it was clear why at the beginning, but we know now that her dad, I think it was around the time that her dad just started a business. But now like Lena is super rich because her dad is super rich. Even though he really isn't, but we learn that later. And they can't be together, right? It's like a classic stories we've seen before. Rich and poor, they can't be together. People made a lot of comparisons. I realized this afterwards. People make comparisons to Aladdin. I don't think it's a straight comparison, especially since Aladdin, is that his name? Is that the main character's name is Aladdin? I don't remember now. And Jasmine, they didn't know each other as kids. He just had like an infatuation with her, but also really just wanted to be rich, and that drove it at the very beginning, at least. Whereas with this movie, nothing like that. Din wants more money, but he's not chasing Lena for that. Like we could see that even with his second wish, right? Where Long is caught off guard when he doesn't wish to be rich. I mean, he doesn't wish to be rich with his first wish, but he also doesn't do it with his second wish. It ultimately becomes him wishing to be rich for 24 hours. That's all I want. I don't need it forever. I'm not that kind of person. I just want it for 24 hours to get close to Lena, to, just remind her that I exist. And in his mind, he's romanticizing it a little bit because he feels that as soon as he announces himself, everything will come back in like a wave of, like a tsunami of memories, and everything will be back to how it was, which isn't realistic in any way. But of course, that's how he's thinking. But it does catch Long off guard because I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into his character growth, that segment, but why wouldn't he just wish to be rich forever? Why wouldn't he just wish for, you know, a billion yen or whatever? Like why? Why wouldn't he? But it does go to show, obviously a little bit later on in the movie as this goes through, of like what kind of person he is, and like it's not even really what kind of person he is, it's just like how he was raised. Which is we get some very emotional scenes with him and his mom, but it's just like he doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't even like he doesn't wish for like a better job or for a better house or anything like that. But he does really care, which we can see with the next scene, which is the gifts room or the present palace that Lena has amounted because of her birthday party. This again goes to show the double life, not the double life, but like the two different lives they lead, where she has dozens and hundreds of people wanting to get close to her and talk to her just because she's like an influencer of some type, and they know that she can help sell their brand, and it's really mostly kind of to do with her dad, which the dad, we'll talk about this a little later as well, but the dad at first kind of comes off as like doesn't really care about his daughter as much as he should. We learn that's not true at all by the end of the movie, but when she even calls him and she's like, oh yeah, I've spoken to everyone you wanted me to speak to with today, Dad, and I think I've made a lot of really good connections. You can see that clearly the overall objective of this party was not hers, it was actually his, which should not be the case. It's her birthday. But then again, we get to the gifts room scene where she is very sad because her dad isn't there, and also none of the people there are even her friends. I don't even think she has friends, I would wager. But then Din comes in and says all the right things to her, not because he's trying to, but because that's just who he is. And they realize that they're two sides of the same coin, right? They have all these expectations they're trying to live up to, and they're not sure if they can live up to them. They're not even sure if that's what they want to do with their lives, but it's kind of both their parents are pushing, two different things on them. And it's a really nice scene. It's a scene that we needed in the movie to get the rest of the movie going, right? Like if this didn't happen, Din would have failed, and he probably would have never been able to get close to her again. His third wish probably would have been very different than what his third wish was this time. But very good scene. He got close to her. The only bad thing that happened was that he lied to her about who he really was. Basically because of his own insecurities, right? But that works out in the end. I don't think I would have done that. I think I probably would have been a little afraid to, just like he was, but I think it's also that thing where you are watching a movie and you've seen other movies where something like this has happened, and you're like, if I lie and say my name is Dan, this is not gonna end out well. Like, she's gonna be upset with me, for lying, because she knows who I am. And then we go a little bit further on, and they go on a date, which is very nice. But Din continues, again, because of his own unsuredness, he starts taking Long's dating advice. Not very good, because again, Long hasn't really been alive or had to do any of this for, thousands of years? Something like that. Also, not a very good person in his past life. So not a good person to take dating advice from. It included things like being like mean and rude. And like that's how people are attracted to you. Probably worked really well for him because he was a king, he was an emperor, whatever they called him. But does not work for most other people in that way, where you can just throw money and everything turns out okay. But like I said, the date, just because of sheer human nature between these two people, it ends up going well. It doesn't go well in the traditional sense. They do end up fighting some bad guys. You know, that very colorful cast, the very colorful trio that we have to fight. But it does end up going okay. They end up bonding over that. And it really is a very perfect. I mean, again, it adds in that sense of danger. It adds in that like C plot of the story with the mysterious figure trying to get the teapot from Din. But it is, more importantly, I think it is a bridge to the next scene, where Din brings Lena home. You know, he's revealed, or she basically figures it out because she's not stupid. she figures it out that he is Din, he's not Dan. And they go through a whole wave, kind of the tsunami of memories that he was hoping for in the beginning of the movie. It does actually kind of happen. And they have a nice time. This is probably the nicest scene in the whole movie, because it's like, oh, this is happening. Like, we didn't go another 30-40 minutes in the movie with them trying to figure it out, or them going on a second date, and during the cool down period he's trying to figure out what to do on the next date, and if he should lie to her still, if he should tell the truth. Like, it wasn't necessary, because now we're here, we're meeting everyone again. We're meeting the mom, the family. We're making food together. We're watching TV. The 25 family members are crowding around the one small little tube TV. And it was nice. It's nice. And this, again, I say this is the nicest scene because I think this is the scene where, more than any other, you just kind of forget that the rest of the movie is happening. You forget about the trio of people that are trying to steal the teapot, and they're basically assassins. You forget about the wishes, you forget about just, the rich poor dynamic, because none of that matters, right? They're friends, they love each other at the very least on that level, and they can just be together and have a good time, especially with the family too, because they don't care about any of that. Like, it's cool. And like, even when Lena comes back, the mom is like, oh, you're here, why? And not in the sense of she doesn't want her here, but she's just confused because she lives a different life now, and she knows that she's poor. She knows that they don't have a lot of money and have the life that she may have wanted to give Din. So it's like, why is Lena here? Like, why would she come back? But what do they say? All good things must come to an end, and that is true for this scene as well. Lena and Din finally have the conversation that I think neither of them really wanted to have, because they don't want this to end. But Lena basically puts the stamp on it, saying that Din she has to be realistic when it comes to Din. She is the face of all these products, and she is very wealthy, and she has a business to be the face of, as well as take over one day. And Din is none of those things. He is not rich. And he is leading he's following a different path, right? Like, his whole struggle is that he has to study and be very good in school and get into, maybe I don't know if they talk about college or university at all, or if he's just going to get a job. Again, I'm not totally sure. I don't remember that fine of details, but basically leading him to trying to get the best job he can possibly get to live a better life than the one he was given. Whereas Lena has been kind of given the life already, and now she has to uphold that. And her being with a person that is not in the same class as her might not keep that, that fulfillment that she's kind of destined to be. Which, again, this is where I want to stop and kind of talk about how, like I said before, I feel like they were friends. And I was like, okay, this is going to lead to a relationship. And they kind of do, right? Like, they date, even though it's not real. And then even this conversation is like, oh, they don't want to be, like, together, But then the only reason I say it threw me off earlier is because it kind of did, like, a double switch. Where I was expecting it, and then I wasn't, and then I was, and then I wasn't. And even by the end of the movie, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, it's not clear if they, like, get together in the end, or if they just stay friends. Like, I don't know. Like, that whole, I don't know, just like the clarity of their relationship bugs me a little bit. It doesn't ruin the movie in any way, but Just like this whole conversation made me remember it. But yeah, and then it's very sad, and this is probably the darkest part. Well, this is the start of the darkest part of the movie, where Lena leaves and Din hits rock bottom. Something he's been wishing to get for his whole life up until that point. He gets in, it's ripped out from under him. I'm sure all of us would feel the same way. And he eventually tries to do it, right? He tries to wish to be rich. We'll talk more about this scene when we talk about Long's character growth. But in short, Long convinces him not to do that. Convinces him that is not really what he wants. That is not the path he really wants to go down. He's just very emotional right now. He's very angry. And he's trying to take the path of least resistance to get what he wants, which is never really a good thing. But like I said, this is the lead to the darkest part of the film, because we get the whole teapot scene with the trio and the dad. That's like is that the first big reveal? We might have seen it earlier, but we got like confirmation that it is the dad who was hiring the assassins or whatever to get the teapot. And big fight. This is the climax of the movie, and lots of betrayal, lots of magical things happening, and it ends with Lena's dad dying. He gets thrown off the scaffolding and loses life, unfortunately. And that is, we saw Din hit rock bottom. This is the rock bottom of the movie, emotionally. And this hits everyone very hard. Of course, it hits Lena very hard. Din is there watching, and he's like, he knows he made a mistake. He knows how to fix it, right? Because he has one more wish left. And he ends up fighting for it. Din almost dies. Actually kills Long, which is nuts. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But Din sacrificing himself, right? Of course, Long then sacrifices to sacrifice. Din sacrifice. But Din being like, I'm putting my life on the line for this. Like, I don't even care. Like, I made a mistake. I need to, I got upset for no reason. And not for no reason, but like, I got upset to the point of me being irrational. And if I want to be with Lena, I gotta fight for it. And so that's what he does very figuratively and literally. And he's able to succeed, right? He's able to bring Lena's dad back with his last wish. And lots of reconciliation there. We get Long back. We get them together with Lena again. Lots of understanding. We get Lena's dad to come over to the house and again express his thanks. Again, he does a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because he knows that the dragon exists. He knows that wishes exist, and he's like, "I know what you did. I know." He whispers a little. He's like, "Hey, I know that you used your last wish to bring me back." But that is not the end of the movie. That very well could have been. It could have been the end with that scene of him coming back, being thankful, him and Lena being at their house again, and then meeting a nice little family meal, and that being kind of the message of the story is that, obviously the whole rich thing we've been playing with the entire film, but it ends with, us being like, hey, family's important, and we can love each other without money, and sometimes things are the way they are, but that doesn't mean they can't change. But we do get one last scene of the movie, where Lena's dad is eating the food, and he decides to start a restaurant based on Din's mother's cooking, and they go into business together. So now these two families are together again, having a business. It looks very successful. They're putting their all into it. Everyone's there, and it's good. It's it's a nice little cherry on top of the end of the story. We do get a little bit with Long. We'll talk about that after. But yeah, this kind of ended in a perfect way. There really couldn't have been anything better than this. Din and Lena being together in the end. Lena's dad not having to stress anymore about the money because he has found probably a cleaner way to make a life for himself and his daughter. And then also with Din and his mom not being poor anymore, because now they run a very successful business. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight the Din and Lena relationship, because it is really the backbone. It is the A plot of the movie, so it's the most important one. But I like how it goes through its ups and downs, and it is really because of Din's insecurities that a lot of things happen, but it is because of Lena's insecurities that the opposite happens. Like I said, they are two sides of the same coin. And it's funny because I feel like it was also their expectations that was both bringing them together and tearing them apart. Where I feel like it would have been, I feel like a lot of this movie could have been avoided if Din sat down with his mom and had a real conversation with her, and vice versa. And then if Lena sat down with her dad and had a real conversation, and vice versa. But they never really did, because they just know what their parents expected of them. Their parents wanted the best for them, in their own ways. And so they were kind of just playing off of each other with what they already knew, and not growing up with each other and having an ever-evolving dialogue. But I think overall, again, it kind of ended in the best way with these two. I mean, it couldn't have been better. Very well, like I said, could have ended in the last scene where they don't start a business together, but they still keep in touch, and it's kind of hit or miss there, but they went one step further, and I like that. And then the second thing, like I said, was Long's character growth. This is a very important part of the movie as well, because Long, we know now after watching the movie what his backstory was, but we know that he came into the world just saying, hey, I want your 3 wishes, because you're the 10th person, and then I can go to the spirit world and I can be happy. So I don't care, just wish for anything, boom, 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 fire him off. I don't care, doesn't matter. And that's how his character is. For a large part of the movie, he does learn over time, but the introduction to his character, I think, is very important, because there's so many things that were set up because of that, right? There was the big reveal of who he really was, and not even the big reveal where he goes all out, even the one where he points out what's on the teapot to Din, right? With him and the man, he's like, oh, I used to be a human, right? And then the huge payoff at the end. But after the 3 wishes thing in the beginning, like I said, he starts to be amazed by the world, because he's been in the teapot for thousands of years. He's like, this is crazy. Electricity, we got cars, we got lights, we got phones, we got these crazy buildings, trains, buses even, right? So he starts to have an affinity with the world, whereas before he was like, who cares? I'm this all-powerful dragon. I am too cool for school. You know what I mean? And he even gets which you can actually see here in the image. What were they again? They're like clam chips or something crazy. He loves those. He's like, oh, these must be the food of the gods. And it's just some chips. You can buy them at any convenience store. But he gets whittled down the whole movie in a good way. His relationship with Din started out as he's very much a genie, right? That's what a wish dragon is. He's a genie. It started out very much like that. He's just a genie and the wisher. That's all it was. But through the power of Din, he helps Long change. And it doesn't go the way Long wants, right? When we are at the party, he feels humiliated by being his servant. He was a king at one point, and now he's an all-powerful dragon, but now he's a servant, and he hates it. He's just trying to get through this day. He's just like, one more wish. That's all I need. But my favorite part about him being a servant is he peeks in on the gift room scene. And he really sees oh, this is real. This isn't just because in the beginning when Din wanted to wish for wealth, Long was like, hey man, I can't wish for true love. I can't wish that someone else loves you. That's one of my it's like against the rules, basically, right? But now that I'm seeing the scene, he's like, oh, he's not just wishing for a random person. Like, he knows this person, he likes her on a deeper level, and we can see that even though she was rich, and he, Long, kind of felt something for Lena, because he's like, oh, well, I know what it's like to be rich. I know how she thinks. You know, like, he was really projecting all of his own past feelings onto Lena and kind of trying to show Din, like, no, this isn't going to work out, dog. You know, this is not going to happen the way you think it's going to happen, because I know how I would react to someone trying to meet me in this way. But they're not the same person. You know, Long and Lena, very different. And he starts to see that, you know, this is the first real, like, twinkle in his eye about what humans are, you know, and like how feelings work. Because that's something he never really felt before when he was a human. And then another twinkle is when he witnessed the argument between Din and his mom. You know, when his mom knows something is up, she's like, you have to tell me. You have to tell me what's going on. And he's like, no, I'm not going to tell you because you can't help me. You think you can, but you can't. And the mom gets upset at that because, you know, he's like, she's like, why are you, you know, you're talking back to me, right? Which is not what was happening, but it's a tough position for the mom. And then he gets upset and, you know, he says some things he might not mean. And, you know, he sees them, you know, him going to his room, which is just like a corner with a curtain. And, you know, the mom apologizes and gives him some food, and Din kind of takes it or whatever. But like, you know, you can tell that the tension is high, right? And Long kind of comes out of his shell, his teapot, and he hears everything, and, you know, he sees what the mom is going through and how that affects Din, and he even tastes the soup, which I don't really know what the importance of that was. I don't know if the soup was really good or if the soup was really bad. I don't know what it means either way, but he did taste the soup and then slither back into his teapot. You know, but even that, you can see that they love each other very much. And sometimes they fight, right? That's what happens. But Long realizes that they are trying, right? The mom is trying, like, the mom wants a better life for him. And Din, even though there's a part of him that doesn't like being poor, like, that's not really the issue, right? That's not really what he's mad about. And we see that later on, of course. And then, you know, just to kind of reiterate again, he does lend some very bad dating advice to Din. But again, like I said, this is what he knew. This is what worked for him. But I think it worked for him because he was a king. And so he could do whatever he wanted, and he could even control what the outcome was. So it really didn't matter what he did and didn't. So him giving him the terrible dating advice, it also helped him, though. It didn't really help Din. I mean, in the end it worked out, but it helped Long realize that, oh, that was not working. I did everything, and she still stormed off. Weird. You know, and then a little bit later on is when we get the big moment, right? Where Din is going back to to recapture the teapot for his third wish, and Long, wait a second. Oh, I think I skipped something. Hold on. Everyone just calm down for a second. Okay, yeah. Something else came first. Okay, so first, actually, is when he tells Din his real life story, right? This is when Din tries to wish to be rich. And Long is like, I don't know if you really want that. And then he poofs him into like some mystical dream world to show him what his life, you know, what Long really did, right? And we saw that he was born into this. He was rich from birth, basically, and that's all he knew. And that's what kind of turned him into who he is now. And that's not the sad part. The sad part is how it ended. He died, and no one cared about him. People cared about him when he was alive, but he realized not really. People did not care about him even when he was alive. It was just because he was rich, and they wanted to get close to him because of that. After he died, I don't think anyone came to his funeral. No one really cried for him, and then they moved on to the next thing. Then after that, when he gets to the spirit world, they kicked him out because he didn't know what it meant to, I forget what it was exactly. It was like he didn't know the meaning of family or whatever. So they didn't even let him in. So the wish dragon thing was not a gift, it was a curse. It was a punishment. And with all of that, and the whole point of the curse was that he's going to go through 10 different people who want different things, and he's going to learn what it means to love and have a family and have people who care about you for real this time, not just for your money and for your status. And that is probably the most important moment to me for long, in terms of like him actually doing, or like, peeling back all the layers, right? And kind of admitting this to Din, to be like, hey, this is not what you want. Like, everything you're about to wish for I had, wasn't happy. And also, no lasting effect. The way you've been doing things, you have changed. You have opened my eyes to how things should be done, and I'm rooting for your methods. So make a different wish. that's basically what he did. And then we get the moment later on where we're in the heat of the final battle, and this is when he sacrifices himself to to protect Din, because Din would have died. Din would have turned into gold, a golden statue. And this is the last thing was the biggest moment in terms of, like I said, kind of peeling back the layers and getting everything off his chest. This was the biggest moment, I think, physically and symbolically, for long, for him to sacrifice his own life for Din. Something that he would have never done in his actual life. And then we have the whole nice little scene there where he gets accepted into the spirit world because he sacrificed himself for some other person. He's earned it, and he decides not to. He decides, well, actually, Din has one more wish, so I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna go down there, give him his last wish. There's more to it. We realize that, he turned down the spirit world, not only for that, not only to help Din, but because he likes it on Earth. There's some like trivial things that he loves about Earth, but he also, he kind of found his calling. Like he enjoys helping people now. Like I'm sure his previous 9 wishers didn't really care about too much, was kind of running through them. I'm sure that's what he was doing. But now with Din, he realized that he likes helping people. He has much more to learn, and this is something that he never got to do in his past life. He never got to make real relationships with people, really witness these things. Because back then, he was just sitting in his ivory tower, throwing money and status at people. That's all it was. But he's found something he actually enjoys, rather than, because before I'm sure it was all about an end goal. Whereas now I think he's found the pleasure in the journey. And he has real people skills now, which is good. Because even again, with him being a wish dragon, it is the same deal as when he was alive. He just has something that people want, He just has wishes. But Din looked past that, didn't really care. I mean, Din liked the wishes, but, he actually found Long as a friend, right? Where no one else probably did. They probably did him as a genie, which is all he is. But yeah, and again, I think that whole ride from beginning to finish with Long's character, same deal with Din and Lena's relationship, where it ended off exactly where he wanted it to. He didn't realize that for the first 90% of this film, but it ended off with him making a choice, and like the spirit world dude, I guess God, I don't know, he didn't turn him down. He was like, all right, I think you're making a mistake, but if that's what you want, I guess I can put you back down there. He was happy in the end, like it didn't end with him being sad and not growing, right, and not being able to get in the spirit world. It also didn't end up again with God declining him and forcing him into the spirit world, so he's probably would be a little happy, but he would have regrets, because he's actually formed a bond with someone, and he knows that it is possible for him to go back and help, but he's restricted. you know. So yeah, I mean, I think this movie overall, it ended happily for pretty much everyone, except for that one dude who got turned into a gold statue and busted into about 112 pieces. He kind of deserved it. He was a little evil, just a little bit, you know. Oh, dude, the other guy got tall legs, so that was cool. And then, the other dude got about a few dozen puppies, so he could start a pet store. So it really good vibes all around. Yeah, and like I said, very good film. Caught me off guard with how good it was, just because I don't think a lot of people were talking about it. I don't think it helped that it was only on streaming, and this whole like year and a half has been tough on movies because people aren't seeing them in theaters. So I don't think people are even seeing movies as much as they did before. But I think this is a movie that people should definitely check out. Very good film, very good story. Like I said, there are a few different emotional moments in there. Like, you know, definitely the one when Din and his mom were arguing, that was something. You know, definitely when they made up, that was good. You know, there was a couple things with Lena and the dad. Like, there's some really good moments in this film. And yeah, overall really good. I think Sony is killing it with its movies. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what y'all thought of this movie as a whole. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Good movie. Let me know other movies you want to see me do. I do have many other ideas for them. Like I said, I also do shows, and then there's also the whole anime. I don't know why I said that weird. Anime side of things that I've been getting going as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. More episodes. Check out more episodes. More episodes are here. More episodes are here to come. And yeah, until next time, watch more movies. Be careful with if you only get 3 wishes. You know, make them carefully. Don't ever wish to be rich. It never works out.